Hey y'all, thanks for tuning in to Outdoor Indoor Texan. Today I'm going to show you how I like to make Mango Habanero Pepper Jelly. It's sweet, it's acidic, and it packs just the right touch of heat to keep you coming back for more. Getting right to it, we're going to start with one of the main ingredients, mangoes. You're going to need 3 cups of chopped mangoes, so I went out and bought 3 ripe mangoes. But how do you know if a mango is ripe? Press down on the skin, and if the indentation stays, you're ready to rock. Also, let me show you a cutting technique that'll make breaking down this mango a whole lot easier. Take a knife and cut along the long side of the fruit and stay away from dead center because that's where the mango's pit is. If you bump into the pit while you're cutting down, stop, move out a little bit, and try again. If you did it right, you should have 2 nice slices of mango. Now take your knife and cut a checkerboard pattern into the flesh, but try your best not to pierce the skin on the other side. Then pop those checkerboard slices inside out with your thumbs, and now you have easy to remove mango pieces. Each mango I had made for about 1 cup of mango slices, so make sure you buy enough for the recipe, which calls for 3 cups. Now toss those mango slices into a blender along with 1 cup of apple cider vinegar. Puree them into a nice mango vinegar smoothie where there's no chunks left. Take that smoothie over to a large, heavy-bottomed, non-reactive pot and toss it in. Add an additional 1 cup of apple cider vinegar. Then add a ½ cup of finely diced habaneros if you want your jelly to be medium hot. If you want it to be extremely mild and mostly tastes like vinegar and mangoes, go with a ¼ cup. If you want some serious heat, bump it up to 1 cup. This part is totally up to you because different people react to hot peppers differently, so choose your own adventure here and report back in the comments on how it turned out for you. Now we're going to add pectin. This is the active ingredient that makes everything turn into jelly. I accidentally bought the pink box of sugar gel, which is typically used with less or no sugar jelly recipes. So because of that, I'm following the box's guidance on the back and will be adding 4 cups of sugar to this recipe here in a second. If you buy the regular and correct version of sugar gel, the recipe would call for 5 cups of sugar. So pick one or the other and follow those measurements correctly. Now with everything in the pot, turn on your heat to full blast and get it up to a rolling boil while stirring constantly. You'll also notice that I switched to a large whisk, and you should too. It's great for mixing these types of ingredients, so dig it out of your drawer if you have one. Once your pot is up to that rolling boil, go ahead and add your granulated sugar. And remember, since I'm using the pink box, I'm adding 4 cups of sugar, but if you're using the yellow box of sugar gel, go with 5 cups of sugar. Add your sugar and get right back to stirring constantly. Dissolve the sugar and bring the pot back up to a boil, but this time you want a hard boil, which means it's rolling even when you're stirring. Let it hard boil for 1 minute. This is a very important step for getting your jelly to set up and essentially turn into what you want it to turn into, so don't half do this. Make sure it's a hard boil, you're stirring constantly, and give it at least a full minute. After the minute is up, take your pot off the heat and remove any foam that may have formed on the top. Carefully ladle the jelly mixture into sanitized jars, leaving about 1/4 inch headspace at the top. If you ever plan on freezing these jars, make that headspace ½ inch to be safe. I boiled these 1-quart mason jars and new lids because I'm planning on keeping these as fridge jellies, which means they won't be shelf stable, but they'll stay fresh in the fridge for about 2 to 3 months, and they can be frozen for up to 1 year. Now, if you're wanting to make these jellies shelf stable, you need to sanitize ½ pint or smaller mason jars plus their lids, then follow the usual water bath canning procedure for your elevation. Either way, rest these jars for 1 to 2 days in the refrigerator so that the jelly can fully set before you dive in. All that's left to do now is enjoy your jelly. I like mine spread over toast in the morning, but the big showstopper for any proper Southern pepper jelly is always poured over a block of cream cheese and served with crackers. It doesn't get much better than that. That'll do it for this one, and thank y'all so much for watching. I'm always happy to hear from my viewers, so please feel free to leave any questions or feedback in the comments below, and I'll be sure to get back to you as soon as I can. Now, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. It doesn't cost you anything, it means the world to me, and you'll have access to countless recipes with more content to come. All right, y'all, take care.